that's going to, give the other teams a chance to catch on video and just wipe it out. And I think that the way they're playing right now, that's not necessarily a concern. I really think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, throughout the season. Obviously, the season is not, any kind of linear thing. It's something that's going to have ebbs and flows. The Flyers are going to have their hot spots. They're going to have their times when things aren't going well, and they're going to have times when things are going very, very well. And the the overall goal in a situation like this, as Jason Martinez joins us back in, is to not let the highs get too high, not let the lows get too low, and in general, don't let the bad games, when they happen, because they will, don't let them turn into 2 bad games in a row, or 3 or 4 or 5. You don't want to let everything steamroll. You're going to have a bad game. You're going to stop it. And you're going to come back and play well the next game. But right now, there's no sign of that in this Flyers game, this Flyers team. They've got a lot of great things going their way, and a lot of momentum headed into Saturday.
Yeah, and I just talked to Travis Konechny. I just tweeted this out on my walk back up. And I cannot wait for people to hear the interview, or the conversation is what I'll call it, because he was very critical of his game and his Lions game. Not critical, but saying we can be better. We need to be better than we were tonight. And I thought they were good, and they had a tough task on the other side. And maybe their role in this game tonight was a little more defensive than it was offensive. And when you're dealing with that perfection line of Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak, maybe that's the role for that night. And you need another line to pick it up, like Broussard, Farabee, and Atkinson did, right? And by the way, those 3 were the 3 stars of the game.
Yep. Well deserved.
I just love that humbleness. It's like, okay, we're off to a good start, but we can be better. And you know what it's like talking to Travis Konechny.
Yeah.
He's just such a relaxed guy. Some guys, when they're talking to media or talking to, whatever, a newspaper guy, there's a wall, a guardedness to him. There's never that with TK. And he's just like, we got to be better. Like, I thought there were some things we did good tonight, but there's a lot of areas we could have been better. And to me, that's just such a good sign that that's the mindset. That's the thinking. And it's right. Like, they were good tonight, but there were elements where they could be better. We're not going to go through it and break down the film. And, that's not what we do. But I just love hearing that. And I cannot wait for people to hear the conversation, because at the end of it, we also got into just where he is kind of like in his life right now, because he's at an interesting spot as a young father, and coming out of COVID and with that playoff, which he referenced in last year, where he didn't like his game, and I thought, I was talking to Charlie O'Connor during the third period. I said to myself, I thought that TK was the most important player on how he was going to play this year, based on the difference between when he's playing really well and when he's not playing well, like that chasm in between.
Right.
Like, to me, like, Sean Couturier obviously is a massively important player, but what I'm talking about, I didn't have a fear of, Coots not great is not far off from Coots being great. He's in that relative area. But when TK is playing really well, or if he's not playing well, there's a big gap in between the two. And he's off to such a good start. I just thought it was so important for what he brings. And then you couple that, like I heard you talking about Derek Broussard and Joel Farabee. And Farabee had an open net and just kind of missed it. Kind of jammed it wide, too.
Yep.
And Cam Atkinson. And a buddy of mine texted me. He said, "Oh, that line has the potential to be really good." I'm like, "Well, they have been, yeah, but they're around the blue paint like a swarm of bees on a honey hive." You know what I mean? And like, it's not rocket science to figure out how to score in this league. I mean, just look at the pure numbers. Like 86% of the goals in the league are scored within 4 feet of the net.
Right.
So if you want to score, you go there. Like you say at the youth teams, then it's true. Like if you want to score goals, then suck it up and take the beat down that comes with going there, because if you do and you've got hands, then you're going to score. So, going into this third period, Bri, it was real simple. It was, win a period, win a game. We talked about it. And the Flyers came out in the third period, and frankly, they kicked the ass of the Bruins in the third period.
Yeah, they controlled the play.
Yeah.
They did what they needed to do. And they just played good defensive hockey in their own end without going into a shell, really. It's the best way that I can describe it. Getting back to the point about, Giroux and Konechny and Couturier in that line, I mean, they get that reaction that you did from Travis, and he's probably right. They could play better, but the two of them well, I guess if you count Couturier's empty netter, the three of them have combined for 6 goals. But that's the best part about it is that the Flyers now have scored 16 goals in the first 3 games. They have not done that since 1983, for one thing, when they had 17 in the first 3 games.
38 years, is that?
Yeah,
Wow.
something like. I don't want to do any more of that math. It bothers me enough that the last milestone before that was in 1988, and then somebody said 33 years, and I'm like, no, that can't be. But at any rate, when you told me that they were going to do that, and that top line was only going to have 6 of the goals, I would be surprised.
Yeah,
they're getting balanced scoring from everywhere, and that's a good sign at the start of a season because. To what we were talking about earlier this preseason about not being predictable in certain aspects of your game, if you've got scoring that's spread that wide, you can't. It's hard to handle you. That makes you probably a hard team to play against defensively. That makes you a hard team to play against offensively too.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And it was just. By the way, you can give me my kudos now.
Yes, you got it. You got yours, and we both got them in tonight.
Yes, we did.
That was good.
So you picked Scott Lawton pregame to be the player that hadn't had a goal yet, but would get one tonight. And I picked Sean Couturier.
Yeah.
And Lawton played a really good game, and he gets the goal. He gets a goal in the game, and also Sean Couturier picks up a goal in the game. So we both cashed in. So that's beautiful. That's a great sign. So I'm really happy about that. And, I wanted to at least equal you when it was all said and done tonight. And that happened, thankfully. But you see the question on the screen there on our live stream. We're just on the stream now, right?
Yes, we are on Flyers Radio 24/7, and we are on Jason's Twitter account and the Flyers Broadcast Network.
Yes, and YouTube.
And I can't find the window that this comment is in. I have there it is. Too many windows open.
So JBPHI tweets in or messages in and says, on the first goal that the Flyers gave up, Sanheim is stuck between basically the shooter at the top of the slot and the Bruins standing on top of the crease. That was the right side of Martin Jones and Travis Sanheim. He said he plays the shooter, meaning Sanheim plays the shooter. As a goalie, how do you want your D to play that? So for the people on the stream, let's just, I guess, first and foremost, let's just take a look at it. I mean, let's look at the actual play, which we can do right now.
You can do this?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm figuring this stuff out. It's unbelievable, by the way. So we'll take a look at it. We'll go right to the screen here. Is that showing on my?
Yes, there you
it
go.
is.
I got it.
All right. So we'll go right here and we'll just hit play. I think. Will we? Okay. Hide this. We got to hide that. And now we hit play. So there's Sanheim right here. I got him kind of spot shadowed right here.
Yep.
Here's the shooter, and here's Kuhlman right on the side of the net. So let's take a look. He is kind of in between, but I don't have a problem with where he is there. I look at it again, the release of the shot, I think Kuhlman's kind of to the side of the net too much. I don't want him to mark Kuhlman on that. I'm fine as a goalie. I go, okay, I'm fine with where he is there. I don't think that's a situation where I don't like where he was. So
right, that makes sense. I mean, it's a split-second decision. I didn't see where Sanheim came from. It's possible he didn't realize Kuhlman was back there. But again, I kind of give Kuhlman a little credit there too, because at that point, I think he's playing for the rebound. He's not he's not looking for a deflection necessarily. He knows that Martin Jones is going to have a tendency to try to kick that puck to the corner, and he puts himself right there to be there for the rebound, which is a good read on his part. Yeah,
and I think the shooter also knows that Kuhlman is there and shoots what I like to call as a high IQ shot.
Right. Yep.
Puck on pad to that side where his guy is sitting there waiting for the rebound. And Jones got over, and Kuhlman just was able to elevate the puck and be able to get it by him on his top right shoulder. So good shot by Kuhlman, but all said and done, by the way, I think it's a real good game for Martin Jones.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do.
There was nothing in his game tonight that I felt was a weak point.
I mean, 40 Boston shots.
Yeah, I mean, there was
take that.
a lot of times when the Bruins were able to get some sustained pressure in there, and he was able to fend things off when he needed to do so. None of the goals necessarily were on him. I don't believe. You got to give credit to the Bruins. I think on all three. It was an opportunistic play by Taylor Hall to be where he was on that
great stretch pass.
Yep,
McAvoy to spring them too. Yeah.
The third goal, they're just pressuring the net. They're doing what they need to do to try to create chances there in the final minutes. And it wasn't even a bad read there by Ristolainen. It was just at the worst possible time that he turned around to try to cancel out Marchand, and the puck basically went through his legs while he was turning around. So those are just goals that are going to happen. And fortunately, the Flyers played well enough that they were able to absorb them and bounce back and still get the win.
Yeah, and I just love the fact that you came out in an all-or-nothing third period in a tie game where you gave up a goal with a minute left in the second period that tied the game, but you turned the page in the intermission, and it tells you there's a lot of character in that dressing room, because we know in that Boston dressing room there's a lot of character, right?
Yeah.
We know that.
We know who those guys are, and we know that
no question.
They are a proud bunch. They're definitely experienced enough to know when they need to step it up or change things up or anything like that. Definitely happy to see overall the way the Flyers were able to handle a group like that.
Yeah, and it moves the Flyers record now to, through 3 games, 2-0-1, 5 points. They're in the second spot in the division with an identical record to the to the Washington Capitals, who are also 2-0-1. The Flyers' goal differential on the season is a +7, and they've given up now 9 goals in 3 games. So it doesn't take a math major to figure this one out. 3 goals per game.
Yeah.
But again, a real good performance from Martin Jones. Your backup goaltender comes in, gives you a quality start against a quality opponent. And presumably it's going to be back to Carter Hart Saturday for a very, very intriguing matchup with a 3-0 team right now, the Florida Panthers, and Barkov, and a lot of talent there. Sam Reinhart there now. We'll see if it's Bob or Spencer Knight in net for Florida. But that's going to be a fascinating game come Sunday. And wouldn't it be a great start for not only to have the 4-game homestand to start the season, but to come away without a regulation loss through the first 4 games before heading to Edmonton would be fantastic.
And that was the thing about tonight, is obviously it was a big game for a number of reasons. But one of the reasons we didn't really touch on is the fact that everybody in the Metropolitan Division is getting points right now. And the Flyers, because of the way their schedule laid out, were sitting in the basement, not even played, because everybody's winning. Pittsburgh's 2-0-2 through their first 4. Washington's 2-0-1.
Yep.
Rangers 2-1-1. Carolina 2-0 through their first 2 games. They've got 4 points. So does Jersey. So that made these 2 points even bigger, because if the Flyers don't get them, then all of a sudden they're in a drag race, it seems, here off the line, and everybody else is just flying down the highway. But they're able to keep pace. If you bring up NHL.com standings right now, Flyers are sitting in second position. They have the exact same record as the Washington Capitals do through 3 games. So I really like where they're at overall, obviously because they're 2-0-1, but the way they got there is what I like about it the most. So, I'm excited about this group. I really think this is going to be a fun group to watch here for the next 6 months.
Yeah, so we'll be back at it on Saturday.
Yes, we will.
7:00 start against the Panthers. Are we back on the flagship?
We are on WMR on Saturday. Okay. We have a Temple football game probably across the street, maybe. I don't know where they're telling, but Temple football. So we'll be on 93.3 WMMR for the basic pre-post and the game itself. We're going to have the extended pregame show right here on these various channels, Flyers Radio 24/7, our Twitter accounts, and we are working on an HD channel as well, so that's coming down the pike. That'll be another way for you to catch us in your cars and stuff when you're headed to or on your way home. We'll also be here, of course, live at East Food Hall, so we've got opportunities for you to catch us here live over the course of the evening. But, back on WMR on Saturday, and then we head on the road. So,
that'll be Edmonton, Vancouver. So you're going to go Alberta, British Columbia, and back to Alberta.
Okay.
So it's going to be Edmonton, Vancouver, Calgary.
I guess it doesn't matter in the long run.
Well, it does to them on the road. You'd rather go from Edmonton to Calgary than to Vancouver, than go from Edmonton to Vancouver, then back to Calgary. I don't know
if it's
back to back.
I mean, You know what? You're probably right, because if you do that and you stay in Vancouver and you play, you're going to travel the next day.
Yeah.
You're not going to try to fly back after. They may do that anyway from Calgary, to be honest. They might travel the next day.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what's after
Plus, you
that
miss
on
out
the
on a day in
schedule,
Vancouver.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you'd
that's
rather
true.
have the extra day and be in a city like Vancouver in British Columbia.
At least it's October and not February.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You know.
It's a real good point. All right, does that put a wrap on things?
That does, I believe so.
All right, that
Great
does.
night.
Yeah, great night here. 6-3 win for the Flyers. They beat the Bruins, and they move into second place here in the Metropolitan Division. We'll be back Saturday, as Brian just said, for Flyers, Panthers. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll talk to you come Saturday for another Flyers game, this time against the Panthers. Have a great night. Enjoy your hockey, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Good night, everybody.